Okay, everyone. Let me also get the rec bot just in case. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right,
go
the
ahead.
timer started, bro.
Grab that shit, nigga. Grab
All
that
right,
shit.
all right.
Let's
So,
move, yeah.
for debate, everyone else for debate. My stance is pro-choice. Deadboy stance is pro-circumstance. I mean, no, pro-sentience. My bad. I don't know
Man, look at him already, nigga.
what? What'd you say?
Already off the rip.
Can we let them
All
talk?
right, bro. Man, look, man, nigga trying to sit here and set shit for the recorder and fuck with that other shit, nigga.
All right, good. Well, I
Hey,
just
bro,
want.
tell me, hey, I'm gonna just tell you right now. I'm pro sentience. I think the fetus gains moral value when subconsciousness and consciousness gets involved. That's my basic opening statement. You can get to your shit, bro.
Okay. Well, my opening statement is I think that I'm pro-choice because I feel like there's more moral value on humans and their experiences. And I feel like in the end of the day, aborting the fetus not only could save on the mother's human experience, so many different values, many different venues, but also the fetus that eventually grows up could feel a lot of pain and can be in a negative circumstance, especially given that there's typically negative circumstances involving the mother. So we should value that more.
Okay.
Good
So
argument, bro.
who do you want to go first?
Yeah. So basically, I just think consciousness gives a person personhood. Do you understand what the concept of personhood is when I say that word or no?
No.
Basically, how I refer to personhood as, and let me pull it up like read it verbatim, so I'm not just pulling this from like my ass. But it's the status of being a person, like conferring moral, legal, and social standing, including rights and like responsibilities and stuff like that. So basically, that's why I feel like having a personhood gives you the ability to have individuality and shit like that. Also, and to formulate experiences, regardless if it's good or bad experiences, just the ability to be able to interact with the world around you and have some type of standing on reality. That's what I feel like personhood is, and that's what I feel like when I feel like that's what I know. Those months of you gaining consciousness and subconsciousness gains you. So after that, you would have some type of value. And I wouldn't just murder things or kill or unalive things that have more value.
Okay, so I get what you mean, but would you like not understand that what's it called? When more than one person's moral value is being compromised in the alternative situation, right? Which obviously personhood and moral value is to be considered, but at the same time, when we should also consider the extent of their consciousness, right? If consciousness is what bases moral value, and in this case, we can have more than one person's more developed consciousness being on the line. Should that moral value not be accepted more than to just abort?
But why does the quantification of you having more automatically outvalues the person that has less? So basically, using that same logic, a baby's moral value wouldn't be as much as a 25-year-old man, but I know in reality, nigga were to just kill a baby, he'd be looked at way worse than him just killing a 25-year-old man. So this argument that you're trying to assert is just retarded. Just because things, first of all, that's subjective in general for you to even think that something has more value just because it's been alive longer. I'm not sure why that became some type of justifier to explain why all the thing valued this thing. So I just disagree with that off the rip, and I don't fuck with that. Did you hear me? Hey, Westbound, what didn't you hear?
Uh, Westman, did you hear all that?
The last part of your comparison, with the 21-year-old man and stuff.
Okay, yeah. So basically, as I was saying, is that would be the same argument can be in line, and the pretense and the logic of it doesn't change when you compare another thing that's been alive for a longer period of time, such as a 25-year-old man or a baby. But obviously, if you murder a 25-year-old man or if you murder a baby, you'd be looked at way worse as murdering a baby. So obviously, we know that there's some type of subjective thing that you think that being alive longer gives you some type of more moral value because that's just not supported within our status of our community or anything like that. I don't agree with the notation that you tried to set. That's all I'm saying.
The problem is, right?
Do you disagree with that? Do you disagree with the analogy that I gave? The analogy
I,
wrong?
I do, and let me explain why. So for the first part, right, like I do think that the amount of consciousness should be quantified because, for example, we eat meat and kill animals without any problem, even though they have consciousness. So obviously, we care about the certain level of awareness they have to things like pain and whatnot that we and like their ability to experience the world and interact with the world, right? And the analogy also doesn't really fail. I mean, it also fails. My bad, that's to speak because of the fact that there's a big difference between what's it called, a fetus and a baby, because a baby is just as conscious, or there's no like clear distinction in consciousness between a baby and a grown man, right? They're both fully conscious about the world, even if the grown man can formulate more intelligent responses and shit like that, right? So that is a problem I have with that analogy. I don't think a fetus applies to that because a fetus just what's it called doesn't actually show or demonstrate the consciousness and the ability to feel pain and react to things as what's it called.
You're just
Okay.
incorrect. Just incorrect. Fetuses feel pain. You're just incorrect. Prove that. Prove that
Prove that?
fetuses don't do that. Prove that. Prove that for a fact. You're dumb.
Wait, no,
You just literally
that's
said, wait. Prove that. Prove that fetuses don't feel pain and they don't are aware. Prove that. Please prove
I
that. Prove that.
I never claimed those, and those
That's
would be
that's,
your.
what you, that's directly what you just claimed. You
No, I just
said, wait,
I just
hold on. That's directly what you just claimed. You said the reason why, because nigga, I track. You said the reason why you think this analogous, that you feel like the states between a fetus and a baby is different to a state because you feel like the baby is on the same level of consciousness and it's fully. I don't even know what are these arbitrary terms. What is the term fully conscious when a baby's not fully conscious? I hope you know that. Like, literally, a baby is not fully conscious. I don't know what you mean by fully
Deadboy, you're
conscious. That just
lagging, you're
doesn't make
lagging,
sense.
Deadboy. You're
okay.
lagging,
Hello?
you're gonna cut this. You're
I mean,
lagging,
No,
Deadboy.
hello? I'm not done. Don't cut me off. Hey,
Yo,
where's my...
that boy, like when you're quieter, you lag less. Like I'm so serious, bro.
My fault, but I just started getting a little irritated because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we understand you, bro. Go on, bro, go on.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
shut up, bro.
What did I cut out at?
Higher consciousness. And feeling
Is your
pain.
name Westbound?
Oh, my fault, I'm not a bitch, my bad.
Hey, Westbound, what did you cut out at?
Higher consciousness.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say
So,
you dumb bitch?
Yeah, Westbound.
so your argument was that you were saying that a fetus and that a baby has a higher consciousness than a fetus, and then you tried to compare a baby's consciousness to a grown man by arguing that a baby is fully conscious, which I think is just an arbitrary term. I do not know what the term fully conscious means. But the separator that you gave to get the distinction was the ability to be aware of certain things and feel pain. That's directly what you said. Those certain things is what you're implying the fetus doesn't have the ability to do, which is you have to prove. But I'm letting you know you're not gonna prove that. Anyways,
So let me get
the
on to my.
main.
Let me
I
get on
mean, I
my.
wasn't done, but go ahead. Go ahead.
If you're not done, no. If you're not done, my bad. Then go.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
did you feel like I was gonna shotgun you? That's what I'm saying. If you feel like
Or like
there's
another.
already enough to respond to,
There's
then already
another. Yeah.
respond to it.
I don't know. That's fine.
Respond
Okay,
to
then
it.
I'll. Okay. So first off, I only claim that babies are more conscious than fetuses are. I find that they have a certain level of consciousness. However, right, the problem is when it comes to like pain and shit, is that we can at least assert shit like babies feeling pain. But I'd like to ask for proof that babies can even feel pain in the first fucking place, right? And also at the same time, when I said about like the consciousness comparing to like consciousness of babies to grown men, I'm saying that we don't have like obviously babies are less intelligent, for example, than grown men, but we have no reason to believe that babies aren't as like consciously aware of the world and is able to what's it called interact with the world emotionally and shit and like feel pain as like sophisticatedly as what's it called a grown man, right? So in that case, the moral value of like consciousness and the emotions and how they're able to experience and shit, right? We can't really say that like, oh, a grown man, there's no reason to believe that a grown man's like brain in that sense is developed more, but we don't have any reason to believe that a fetus's brain is developed in that sense. So for example, even if they do feel pain, right, which I'm asking for proof for, even if they do feel pain, that's going to be to the same extent, for example, as what's it called, a baby.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you know like how anatomy works, but our conscious and we're subconscious of certain things comes from a certain part of the brain. Do you understand that?
What did you say?
I'll repeat it one more time for you. Before
Okay.
I get to responding to everything else, do you understand that consciousness and subconsciousness is from informed a certain part of your brain? Do you understand that, correct?
Consciousness and subconsciousness are formed in a certain part of the brain.
Yes. Do you understand that? Like, do you understand that at all?
Uh, I'm assuming you're correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just glad you understand that consciousness and subconsciousness is formed from the brain. Literally. I want to respond to everything in chronological order, so I'm gonna hold that off to later. You keep saying again, I'm writing it down. You made that assertion that they just have more consciousness than the fetus. But what is the interlocker between the two to get the distinction of that it does? That's what I keep asking. That's what you started off with by just saying, oh, it's still, you just know it has more. The question is, what is the interlocutor? What is the separator that says that they have more, or what's the difference that makes them having more than they do? And you said babies feel pain as sophisticated as a grown man. That's just incorrect. That is factually incorrect. Babies cannot feel emotional pain. So grown men, they can have experiences with people, have friendships and lose a friend, and they can feel emotional pain, sit back and cry about emotional pain. We know that babies don't do that because of the ability of the experiences they have not formed yet. So no, they cannot feel it at all, so as sophisticated as them. What I will grant that babies can feel physical pain. That's correct. I can agree to that. But how we got here, how to even question is, you made the claim and you asserted earlier that fetuses lack this certain trait that these babies have. And I keep asking you, well, why is that even an assumption? Because the arguments you're basically saying is implicit of the fact that these two things are different. You keep asserting that this is different and that this is the same. But what is the proof for you to say that? And you try to make me prove something that I didn't even claim yet was, well, yeah, could you prove that they do? When you're the one that made the assertion, you're the one that made the claim that it automatically is. So I'm trying to understand, how did you get from that to that? Like, what is, I don't understand that at all.
All right. 1 second. I'm gonna say you're done, by the way, Ray, because I can respond to what you said.
Good.
Oh, all right. So for first, okay, you claimed why are babies more conscious than fetuses? Well, here's like an AI overview with some sources that they actually believe this. So we have
Fetuses,
more.
fetuses
Wait, one
are
second. I'm
generally.
not done. I'm not done. I'm not done.
I'm just read. I don't give a
Hold on.
fuck.
Just read
I'll
your.
just read it.
Just read your.
I'll just read it. I'll just read it out loud. Fetuses are generally not as aware of the world as babies, as they
Not done your
spend their
response.
time asleep and are heavily sedated by womb chemicals, while they possess basic sensory abilities like hearing sound, feeling touch, tracking the light. Well, that's completely fine. I mean, they may not be one to hold on. They may not be 1-to-1. My argument is that babies and adult aren't 1-to-1 either. But I think the fact that they're able to feel these certain experiences is the thing you don't have separated. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to separate, but you try to give us pain, but fetuses can feel pain. That's what I'm trying to say. So to what extent are we going to say this thing is mature or aware at a level to where we can respect it? That's what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm saying. Why are you? Where's the level at where you're trying to say, okay, I can respect this thing at this certain value because it has what trait? I'm looking for a certain trait.
Okay,
That's what I'm
listen.
asking you.
Okay, yeah, I get it. So the problem is that you claimed in the first place that babies should be held to the same level of fetuses, right? Comparing with the analogy of killing a baby versus
No,
killing a grown.
no. The reason why I say that is because it has consciousness. That's the reason why I feel like it's all at the same level, because they just all have, regardless of what the ability or quantity that they're able to experience it, they still have this trait. That's regardless. I don't give a fuck about the quantity. I've already established that earlier. I don't give a fuck if this person could experience this thing more. That doesn't change the fact that this person can still experience pain. It doesn't change anything. Not
Okay,
everyone's pain is the same. Not everyone's pain is the same. That doesn't mean they should go through it.
All right,
It's retarded.
okay. was discussing. The problem is, right, as I said, right, if we're going to value consciousness, right, and that's also with the animal analogy I brought up earlier, we're obviously going to have to also consider the extent of it. If we know that babies are more conscious than fetuses, and we can't even prove that fetuses have
Yeah.
these actual fucking things, like pain, for example, we shouldn't assume it, we shouldn't consider it.
Why can't we prove that? Prove that. That's what I asked you to prove. Prove that fetuses can't feel
Your
pain.
burden. That's why I asked you to prove that.
All right, okay. There's no way that you asked because I never claimed that, and that was never much implied in that, and you did not do that. What you did was you asserted it, and then I asked you to prove it. You did not flip the script. So that's left.
No, I just
So that's left up.
I just said
That's left up to the judges. That's left up to the judges. That's left up to the judges.
I want to clarify to the judge. I want to clarify to the judge. I never said definitively.
Yeah,
Hold up.
Yeah.
I said, and even if I did, it was a misspeak. I said that we can't prove it, right? We have no reason to believe that, and if we can't assert that, we're just going to add assumptions on how
That's not what you
fetuses
said.
work that we shouldn't. Okay, maybe even if that was,
that's just not how you. Yeah, but that's not how you worded your sentence. This is a complete hedge. It's Lucas. I usually agree with Bryce's razors, but I don't agree with this here because that would be a complete hedge on the position. The position fundamentally changes when you say, you know that, right? The words you said earlier is a fundamental difference from what you're trying to say now. It is different. The words that you said earlier is a fundamental difference to what you're saying now. It's a difference. It will be a complete hedge. It would be a complete hedge.
Okay, why? Okay, even if we presuppose, even if we presuppose, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why does it matter?
Wait. Why does it matter if you hedge up
Why does it matter? I'm not. Wait, actually, no. I didn't hedge on my position. I don't think you can prove that just because I said one thing and now I'm saying.
What you're saying, bro?
Wait. Can you guys get moderation? Hold on. Like, if it was just normal talking over, like, I wouldn't mind. But bro, like, Deadboy's lagging and being loud, and Lucas is being like Lucas. So I need y'all, bro. Like, please get some moderation so I can hear you guys better. Like, if you want immediate judgment.
Okay, listen. Deadboy, just let me finish. Because this is my response.
No, I don't do talking. All right, we don't got to do. I'll give you a response. Listen, just go ahead, bro.
Just moderation. If one of you guys cut each other off, like, more, please, just relax. Good.
If it gets, we gotta understand the nature of this debate of like what happened. Like we're gonna cut each other off, but I'm not gonna be excessive. Like from you, go ahead, Lucas.
Okay, so I'm saying, okay,
you hear me?
Yeah, my point is, what's it called? That in the end of the day, I almost took sidetrack. In the end of the day, even if I said, right, that, we know for a fact that fetuses can't feel pain, right, even if I misspoke on that, which I don't believe I did, it's not a hedge because I'm not actually, like, purposely trying to change my position. I always had this position in mind, but maybe I misled you by accidentally speaking that. My position, right, is that we have no reason to believe that these guys can feel pain, so to like assume that they can would be giving more assumptions on how fetuses work, which obviously wouldn't be the most simplest interpretation that we should accept, right? And obviously that's why I'm asking you. I also asked you before for proof that fetuses can feel pain. And to go into the rest of the shit you said, because there's obviously a lot that you said that I didn't respond to yet. I said that they can, like, babies can still feel, what's it called? Like, they can feel, because they can't, like, for example, make friendship connections and shit like that. They cannot have the right, thank you to that person in chat, by the way, but they cannot feel, like, the same, like, for example, they might not get friendship, right? But for something that corresponds, like, for example, like if the mommy takes away milk, right? They can feel just as much sadness for that as you could if somebody like close to you had to leave you, for example, right? It's just that their priorities are obviously they're not going to be able to like function with the same priorities because, for example, they don't care about friendship, right? But if they care about, I don't know, maybe not being able to suckle on a titty, right? Then they feel just as much pain from that as someone can from having their friend leave. So also, for example, if we can't verify it, yeah, the problem is that like all I'm saying is that we have higher priors for babies' consciousness, right? In this case, we have higher priors for the fetus's consciousness when they are born and when they grow up to understand that they could feel pain and all this shit that we should consider, as well as after the mother, which is also quantitatively better. And it goes back to what I said that we do have to consider as people, right? The quantity, the quality, not just quantity, but also the quality, because that's why, for example, we eat animals, because they have a certain degree of consciousness, right? But we don't care because it's not to the same extent as that of humans. So.
You done?
Yes, I'm done.
So, to
Lucas, can you repeat
respond
what you
to
just said? Wait, Lucas, can you repeat what you just said?
What part?
Last part, very last part.
I'm just saying that, for example, with animals, that's why with animals we consider the quality of their consciousness. Hence, why we eat them because they're not on the same level of humans.
All right. Anyway, Deadboy, go.
yeah. So the obvious reason why I think animals is a different factor is I just think animals are biologically different. I don't care about animals. I don't care about the consciousness of animals. I really don't care. This argument isn't about animals. I value the consciousness and subconsciousness of a human life, of a potential human life. I don't give a fuck about fucking, you know, moose, lions, anything like that. This is irrelevant. It's completely different. They don't even carry or go through the same process as a human does. I just don't give a fuck. That's just completely irrelevant about the animal shit. It just has no relevant bearing here because I'm speaking upon the human species. Obviously, my argument will be based upon the human species. I don't care. My reasons for not caring about animals is a biological difference thing. I don't give a fuck about it. It's not human. I just don't value it. As I was saying, after that, the the argument that you tried to say that it's just enough sadness as it would be of them losing a friend to not getting milk, that's in a claim that's impossible to prove. You and that you claim that they can feel just as much pain. There's no way for you to prove that. So I'm gonna ask for proof that they can feel just as much pain for those two separating actions. But to put into question for the fetus things about the harm for fetus, you can harm fetus a lot by drinking, by smoking, that harms the development of the fetus. And you know, you're dumb and you're stupid as fuck. You probably never even had a girlfriend, so you probably wouldn't understand. But your pain perception starts as early as 15, 20 weeks. And my whole argument earlier is that it's regardless of the fact of who's feeling more pain, who's feeling pain or not. My argument is about the idea, the concept of feeling pain in general. I'm not going to put no one's pain above this other person. That's why the argument doesn't matter because I kind of asserted the same thing earlier. It's just the fact of the ability to feel pain. Regardless, people have varying degrees of what they go through, but it doesn't change the fact that there's still an action of pain going through it, no matter who's struggling going through what. Regardless of not, I would feel bad that if a mother is smoking and harming and drinking and harming her fetus. I'd feel bad if my homeboy said he lost his friend. I'd feel bad if a baby dies. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the varying degrees. There's different crimes that have different varying degrees of people getting done bad. Some people get raped, some people get kidnapped. Okay, regardless or not, it's still a bad action. It doesn't change the fact. It's the fact that it's happening in general, and that the people have the ability to have it occur in general is what I give it respect to. So I'm not trying to value anything like trying to get something some type of higher value just because they can experience something more. Because again, in that same argument, it's just half a apply getting tied back to a baby, regardless of not how you feel.
Yo, he's cutting
Grown
out.
people, hello, regardless of not how you feel, grown people experience more things than a baby can. They're literally more aware. Your frontal cortex is expanding when it's fully developed when you're 25. That's when you're fully understanding when you're fully grown up. So yes, you're going to experience certain emotions and feelings a baby possibly couldn't get. But it doesn't matter if it's varying more or not. The argument is that it could just experience it in general. That's why I leave it as equal. But your type of qualitative argument literally works the same way against a fetus. Against a fetus, it's a baby. It just doesn't matter, bro. Again, I need you to just prove that you said what you said earlier about all the shit that you asserted earlier. And even though I don't have to prove it, and I explain why it's a hedge, I'll send the shit of them being able to have feel pain and shit like that. It's pretty obvious. I know you wouldn't know. You saying like it's like a study or something. Niggas just don't know. Oh, prove that these niggas can feel pain. Like this is a
All right.
known fact.
What's it
Here you
called?
go. Hey, I'm gonna send it around.
All right, for that.
send it right now. Hold on. Look at chat. It's in it.
Okay, so one sec. So to start, right, it's gonna be a long response because you said a lot. First off, yeah, animals are biologically different, but the problem is that you're valuing the idea of consciousness, right? Over like you're valuing the idea of consciousness here. The point is that these people also possess the idea of consciousness. I mean, these animals also possess the idea of consciousness, right? So it wouldn't make sense for us to discredit that under your view unless we were to also value
Yo,
the
whose damn
quality
song is that, bro?
unless we would also value the quality of consciousness because it's the only other like what's it called separator. That's the reason why we don't care about animals because the quality of their consciousness is what's also like the problem. So that whole thing. Second of all, you can't like prove that they would what's it called feel the same level of pain. You also can't what's it called prove that the fetuses actually feel pain from being like when like the mother like drinks and shit like that. This I don't like that can harm their development when they get born, but that's different than what's it called them actually feeling pain. It's a problem. Also, Peter, you said like the pain in the fetus begins like 10 to 20 weeks. I'd like you to prove that as well. Intuitively as well, you brought up intuition. However, most people that you can like verify are pro-choice, if anything. So intuitions from people and mothers do like value the what's it called the mother's own decision more so. Also, the thing you sent here, the little like scan you sent here doesn't even say anything. It says if anything, okay, it's unlikely before the third trimester, which doesn't even mean that it's likely after the third trimester. And it just says that like, oh, there's potential that babies might feel pain, but we still can't assert it. It just means it's not impossible. So that still like fails on person when you assume like all this shit about a fetus that we can't say.
You done?
One sec. Yeah, but like also that like what's it called? I mean that goes to just the file on the animal shit too some more. Like what's it called? Why would we care about humans' biology more than animals when it comes to you're saying that being a human is what's going to matter. Why? In the end of the day, the only thing that's relevant will be the level of fucking what's it called consciousness. Humans can grow into having more fucking consciousness and more like quality of consciousness than an animal, which is still going to play to my point why we should value the higher consciousness of the born baby and the mother, like I said earlier.
Look at horrible.
I'm looking getting tired of the debate. So after I say this, we get the West Park get his judgment. But the reason why I laid it out earlier, why I think bringing up animals completely red herring or completely irrelevant to my opinions is the idea of what I laid out of how we get our consciousness.
Yeah, can you like I can't hear you. You're cutting out like a lot.
Hello.
Yeah.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the reason why bringing up animals is completely irrelevant in the situation here is because I already outlined earlier that we formulate our subconscious and consciousness is through the certain parts of the human brain. So my argument has only from the jump. My arguments have been only interpreted and even based off of the human brain, how the human brain forms. That's the first thing I outlined to you. That's why I said what I said earlier, because I knew you was going to go to this. So the idea is that basically humans' consciousness is based off our brains, and biologically, an animal brain isn't even complex. It doesn't have, biologically, it does not have the parts that we have. Regardless of the size of the parts, it doesn't have the stuff that we have. That's what I was saying this whole time. I'm disagreeing biologically from how it's formed, biologically from how we're formed and how we experience things. I give that value. I do not care about an animal because regardless of not, it is just a less complex biological being. That's my base. It's a less complex biological beings. Or the
Okay.
other parts, they don't have the human brains. And the argument, and you keep bringing up in response about the arguments about the levels of pain. Again, I don't care about the levels of pain. I don't know why you don't understand that. The levels of pain does not matter. The levels of pain does not matter at all. It's just the ability to not even. I don't know why we only just trying to reference it to pain. It's just the ability to have experiences in general as a whole. That's all. That's all the argument is. I don't know why I'm trying to quantify the levels. I already explained earlier. Could you assert why does this thing have a higher moral value? Like why? Just because it's more. Why? That you believe that? I don't understand. It's looking to be universally. That's true. I don't understand that at all. It's not about the level of pain. It's just the fact that they can feel pain in general. Because even still, us humans interpret pain. Not everyone interprets pain the same way. We all have different pain receptors. So it wouldn't matter. Would you feel less as bad if something happened to someone if they can't feel it? It's the act that happened in general. I don't care about the level of pain. I don't. It's not like an argument. I don't know why you keep bringing it. The way you're bringing it up too is not even in use to refute or rebuttal against anything I'm saying. You're just bringing that possibility up when that's just irrelevant. These are things we can just look up. We can get defined straight to the facts into it. Regardless of the fact it's I don't know why we're only using again basis pain. That's not the main thing that I'm worried about. It's just experiences in general. So again, you're only locked in trying to find one thing, but you're just confuzzled about the whole thing. Do you want me to? I don't. I just don't understand, bro. I'm
I
ready to
mean,
move on, bro. It's already
I'll
been
just say
like
one more thing
40
because
minutes.
there's a little bit. I mean, I don't have much to say, right? But there's just one more thing that I want to say. Okay, well, for now at least. For one, like I do think that what you were saying about the animals is an indirect concession because so we are agreeing that because the human's brain is more complex, right? They have more structures to make their brain more complex, to make a more complex consciousness, right? We value that over animals. Well, that's what I'm saying is the difference between a fetus and like a baby and the mother's brain. Second of all, about the pain, obviously, a baby might not be able to experience as much. I'm just saying that we have no reason to believe that the level of pain is going to be different in their more limited experiences that they can have. But obviously, for example, even as you like said earlier, we're not going to value killing a 25-year-old man over killing a baby because man can like make more friendships and shit. So like third of all, right? And actually, that's really all I have to say. I think
Yeah.
we can.
So yeah. Just the quick response to that first thing you brought up about why you're saying it's an indirect concession. Before you just move on, it wouldn't be indirect concession. The parameters of it that I set is biologically. So biologically, a fetus, human, baby, same thing. The argument is based on
I can't
biology. I
hear
don't know
you
why
cut
you
out.
get the the reason I'm about to respond why it's not a concession is because the parameters I set is biologically. So if that's the parameters that I'm using, then it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be considered a concession because it's all biologically still the same thing. I'm laying out these biological differences. That's all I'm talking about. The biological differences, and
I
obviously
don't know
you
why.
wouldn't argue the biology of the human being is the same as a human being, bro. But we can
I don't
move
know
on.
why
You
it's
can have
relevant.
you can give your judgment.
I don't know why
Okay,
it's
hold on. You
relevant.
guys have been going circular for the last 3 points. Lucas, I'm gonna give you like 1 point,
Bro, if you just make one new argument, please, I'm gonna give you one. Go ahead. If you have something new to say, like something really new to say.
I mean, in the end of the day, right? It's just that. So the mother and the baby, like the whole like baby's life that will be, created. These are both higher level consciousnesses, right? We care about their consciousnesses more and their values more because the baby's is, as we agreed, less developed. And at the end of the day, not only is it qualitatively more, like I said before, right? And you never really refuted why we shouldn't care about that, but also in the end of the day, for you say bring up
Yeah, okay.
biology.
All right.
I have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
to
All right. All right.
believe
All right.
It's same thing. Same thing.
Okay. Wait. Wait. No. No. No, these aren't new arguments. Do you guys want to give conclusions or like what do you want to
I
do?
think we're good.
I don't need conclusion, bro. I'm confident. Just give your judgment, bro.
Wait,
Lucas,
hold up. I have one more thing I
maybe
want to say.
Lucas. Do you?
I have
Bro,
one more
come
thing.
on, bro.
I do want to just say
What's
that
wrong?
we
What's
have
wrong,
no
bro?
reason to believe. I just want to say one more thing. We have no reason to believe that a human's biology should be valued more than an animal's biology.
What?
That's all.
What?
Oh, you suck, gang!
Hey, you're trash. You
All
literally.
right. Wait. I mean, okay.
You're
You can take.
hey, Westbound, get your judgment, bro. Get your judgment, bro. Get your judgment, bro.
Yeah.
Why the
Get your
conscious,
judgment,
like,
bro.
why itself is what
Wait,
matters. Yeah, to clarify.
no. Get your judgment, bro. Get your judgment, bro. Get your judgment, bro. Get your
Shut the
judgment,
fuck
bro.
up,
I
Nick.
turn my hate so much.
Get your
One,
judgment, bro.
I'm not. All right, bro. All right, listen. I'm not gonna lie. Deadboy just won.
Why?
Like,
Why he said
why do you sound
doctor Nick, you
confused?
love.
You got
No, okay, what's my
dog.
wait,
You
what's my
literally
wait,
got
what's
dog
my
walk. You got dog
explain
walk this whole time. I told
explain
y'all.
the
I
judgment,
literally
wait,
told y'all.
explain the judgment
All
and
right,
then
one.
just
Okay, yeah. Well, You stopped. Like, I'm not gonna lie. You lost the debate once you like once you, I guess, hedged off of the initial point, going off of like just the null state that the fetus had, and then just like went on to this qualitative thing. Yeah, at that point, that's not a refutation. His whole stance is just like, this is the thing I valued. He gave the argument for like why he valued it, and then you just said, oh yeah, no, but I'm talking about like some qualitative thing. So like people that have more experiences would be valued. You just gave this like arbitrary gauge, and then Dead Boy basically said, well, he just hit the reductio of doom. You didn't respond to the reductio, and then you repeated yourself for like an hour and a half.
okay, hold up. When well, okay, what do you think about the fact I'm telling this guy? All right, obviously there's some level of consciousness that we do care about, not just the fact of consciousness alone, because of animals. We will eat
Yes, and
animals.
he's saying that thing is sentience. And but like the thing he said about animals, the distinguishing factor there is just like basic biology. Animals do not have personhood. Just having sentience as a human will give you personhood. So like because you don't fulfill these conditions, you cannot have personhood. And these animals do not fulfill these conditions. That's why it's okay
I asked
to
him for the
abort a.
relevance of personhood.
Oh my God. That's what gives something moral value. That's what he said. That's what
I asked
personhood
for
is. That's what you
wait,
guys are arguing over.
I asked for why that's going to be more relevant than the fact, right, of higher levels of consciousness, and he never proved that.
Relevant to the fact of higher levels of consciousness, he hit the reductio for why higher levels of consciousness isn't something that we value, right? We don't value something based on the fact that it has a higher level of consciousness, because this 21-year-old would have higher consciousness than a very small baby. However, we would not value that 21-year-old inherently, or say that they have more moral value. And then you just didn't respond to that. So if we
Well,
know that there's no gain in moral value based on like some qualitative level, then we can also just gauge like within this whole spectrum of somebody with or somebody with sentience, that it doesn't serve as something that like raises probability. And then he put, or not raises probability, I'm sorry, I was stuck on fiction. It's not something that raises moral value. And then also the other thing, Lucas, the main thing, like, and not even like the main thing, like a very big thing that I just like didn't hear a response to. He literally put the burden on you to like try and show this qualitative relevance, and then when you like were tasked with this burden, you just brought up animals. And I'm telling, like, I already gave you the refutation against the animals, and you went circular on the animal thing for like 30 minutes. You just kept repeating yourself about the animals. The animals is what you use to justify some like qualitative scale. But since he refuted the animals raising the qualitative scale, it will then follow that you cannot use this to like raise the qualitative scale. Do you see what I mean?
but wait, how does that make sense? Because at the end of the day, he never actually gave an argument for why personhood
We're done.
matters.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
Fuck this,
We're done.
bro. Fuck
We're
this. This
done.
doesn't make no sense.
Wes,
Babies don't
Wes,
fucking
don't you
fetuses
think
don't
that
fucking
like
matter in
he
relation
questioned
to
the biology
animals.
thing at the end?
Hermes, he questioned the biology thing at the end, but Dead Boy gave an argument